Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. We start today's video with a story about a chicken who might honestly be a better security system than most cameras. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Neighbors think their kids are entitled to break into my yard. For context, I have 4 chickens who live in a cozy coop at the end of my back garden. One of them, Whiskey, has survived a fox attack, is 8 years old, and still laying eggs, and we affectionately refer to her as our guard chicken or the snitch because she will scream for us if any intruders, usually squirrels, enter our yard or any of the other chickens escape. It was a nice sunny Sunday morning, and I had my friends over for brunch when I hear Whiskey screaming and look out the window to see the neighbor's kid crouched down next to my chicken coop. Me, hey, what are you doing? Kid, I'm just getting my ball back, holding 2 balls. Me, what? Get out of my garden. Kid, that's not very nice. Me, well, it's not very nice to break into other people's gardens. At this point, he climbs back into his garden through a gap in the fence at the very back of the garden. Meanwhile, I've gone to knock on their fence to speak to the parents, assuming they must not know this was happening. Me, hi, did you know your son was breaking into our garden? Dad, immediately yelling, is it okay what you said to my son? Me, what? Telling him he can't break into our property? Dad, he's just a kid. It's okay for him to do that. Me, no, legally he can't. I don't want random kids messing about with my chickens. Dad, you threatened my kid. You swore at him. Me, I never threatened him. I just wanted him off my property. Dad, it's fine for kids to do that. You know what? I don't have to listen to this. Goes to slam the door in my face, but stops when I step forward onto their doorstep, but not into their house. Me, how would you like it if I broke into your garden? Dad, they're kids. It's okay. You're threatening them. Call the police. At this point, my unfortunate tendency to cry when I'm angry started to get the better of me, so I stepped back and yelled that I wanted to speak to the police, actually because I had done nothing wrong, then went back into my house. I did end up calling the non-emergency line, and the operator I spoke to reassured me that they were definitely not entitled to break in, kids or not, and even if I swore at them, I was unsure because I do swear a lot in general without even noticing, but my friends who witnessed the whole thing assured me that I hadn't broken any laws. So now we have to fix the fence gap and hope that the unhinged adult man living next door who thinks it's perfectly fine to wander onto people's yard without permission doesn't decide to do that again himself. I'm starting to doubt that this was the first time the kids had broken in, as Whiskey had been screaming all day Saturday, much more than she would for a squirrel or bird, but I couldn't see anything when I checked. His attitude also proves he thinks he owns your yard and all rights to it. Someone like that will not teach their kid to do the right thing. They'll teach their kid to do the wrong thing because they're sure they're right and they want you to know it. And our second story. We thought we were being nice. They thought they owned us. My husband and I, both in our 50s, were friendly with a couple in our neighborhood. Let's call them George and Ellen, both in their 70s. We had a casual friendship for a few years, domino nights, dinners for their birthdays, and my husband would occasionally help George with things around the house. Since we both travel for work, they'd even bring our trash cans in from the curb sometimes and keep an eye on the house. Back in May, Ellen invited us to join them in a tourist town a few hours away for George's 75th birthday. We rearranged our work schedules, cut our day short, met them for drinks, and bought them dinner. During that weekend, Ellen announced loudly in front of the B&B owner that they planned to come back for their anniversary in December and said we should join them. We said we might come for a night. Fast forward 7 months, every conversation about the trip had been casual. We'll go if the weather's good, hope the roads are clear, that kind of thing. The week before, we found out the B&B only rents for 2 nights minimum. We shrugged and decided to make a weekend out of it. When we arrived, George and Ellen had already taken the larger, nicer of the 2 rooms. We didn't mind, we're not picky, but we did notice that the B&B owner mentioned that breakfast had been chosen for us. Apparently, Ellen had picked it when she booked. She got mad that the owner said that out loud, but he wasn't wrong. It was delicious anyway, so we let it go. We spent the weekend shopping and sightseeing. We paid for several meals and even surprised them with an old-time photo session. Not a single thank you all weekend. Not a word about us hosting them. Then came checkout day. The B&B owner quietly took my husband aside. "I'm so sorry," he said, looking uncomfortable, "but Ellen told me you'd agreed to cover one night of their stay." My husband blinked. "What? We never discussed that with her." He said he hadn't thought so either, but Ellen had been insistent. Since we were leaving earlier than they were and we didn't want to argue, we paid our 2 nights plus one of theirs. The owner felt bad and even discounted the rate. Only after this did George and Ellen thank us for hosting them. That was the moment we knew the friendship was over. When we got home, my husband decided to confront them calmly so it wouldn't fester. We even dropped off the Christmas gift we'd bought them. "So," my husband started, "what happened with the billing at the B&B?" Ellen blinked innocently. "What do you mean?" "The owner told us you asked him to put one of your nights on our tab," my husband said. Her tone shifted immediately. "Oh, he's lying. I never said that." My husband stayed calm. He was very clear. "And you never mentioned this to us directly." Ellen switched tactics. "Well, you offered back in May. You said you'd cover one night." I said evenly, "If I did, it was 7 months ago and you never brought it up again. You never even confirmed before we left for the trip." Then came the backpedaling, the rewriting of history. "I thanked you in advance, you just don't remember." My husband, who has the patience of a saint, had enough. "Ellen, I'm very disappointed. You should have spoken to us instead of putting the owner in the middle." He turned to me and said, "Let's go." Ellen handed me a gift bag from the B&B owner with a Christmas ornament inside. "Here," she said with a stiff smile, as if that made everything fine. That night, she sent my husband an email with zero apology, blamed me for the misunderstanding, and sent me an animated Christmas card like nothing had happened. We didn't respond. What sealed it for me was the conversation I'd had with Ellen that same weekend about our pets. She bragged that she had booby-trapped her house before leaving so she'd know if her pet sitter went into any room she wasn't supposed to. I stared at her. "So you'd rather risk injuring the person you hired to take care of your pets than just hire someone you trust?" She pouted, covered her face, and stormed out like a sulky teenager. That was Ellen in a nutshell. Manipulative, dramatic, and always expecting someone else to clean up the mess she made. So we're done. No more domino nights, no more dinners, no more favors. I can find someone else to foot the bills and put up with the drama. We're keeping our money, our time, and our peace. The B&B owner, bless him, sent us a handwritten note a few days later apologizing again for being put in the middle and telling us he'd be honored to host us again, just us, which we absolutely plan to do next year. As for George and Ellen, we haven't heard from them since, and that silence feels better than any thank you they could have offered. Yeah, they lost out due to greed. It's not like young people are typically banging down any door to hang out with the elderly. So this couple was very fortunate to have you guys checking in on them. And our next story. Messy shoebox lady gets owned. I'm a sales associate at an outlet shoe store that's recently gained a lot more traffic ever since a video featuring our brand shoes, we all know where I'm going with this, went viral. The way our store is set up, we have 2 rows of full-price shoes stacked in closed boxes on shelves, organized by shoe type, at the very front of the store. Then the rest of the store are rows of open boxes of sale shoes, organized by size instead. In this story, the messy shoebox ladies, who we'll call Linda. The difference between the sale shoes and the full-price shoes is very obvious, which comes in handy when explaining what shoes are included in our buy one sale shoe, get a second sale shoe half off sale we always have. It's literally 2 shelves not on sale in the entire store. Fast forward to last night. It's around 7:30. We closed the store at 9, and it was pretty quiet. I started slowly tidying up the rows of the sale shoes since they're open boxes with the shoes on display. They oftentimes can get messy quickly, and putting all the boxes back in order can be pretty time-consuming. While I'm working, a woman is looking at the shoes beside me, taking a bunch of pairs out of their boxes, which she's leaving on the wall still, tried them on, decides she doesn't like them, and then throws the shoes somewhere random instead of putting them back in their box. This can kind of be a nightmare for us because not only do we need the barcode on the box should you choose to buy the shoes, but hunting the shoebox down in a full store to put the shoes back if you don't buy them can get overwhelming. But regardless, it's part of my job to clean up, so I keep quiet. I got distracted with a customer who asked for my help, and when I came back, I noticed the Linda looking at the full-price shoes and asked if she needed help. She then asked if they were included in the sale, and when I told her it was only the on-sale shoes in the open boxes, she huffed and puffed away. A few minutes later, she came up to my cash register and this happened. Linda walks up with 2 pairs of shoes, sans boxes. "Hello, I'd like to purchase these 2 pairs of shoes." Me, "Awesome. I do need to scan the barcode on the shoe boxes, though. Would you be able to grab those for me, please?" Linda, "These shoes didn't have a box. They were just laying on the shelf." This is bull. Every single pair of shoes in our store has a matching box. We do checks throughout the day to make sure, and I was literally just cleaning the racks like I said. Me, "Unfortunately, I can't process the shoe purchase without the barcode. I do need the box." Linda, "I don't know why you're being so difficult. I'll go find some boxes, I suppose." Goes away for a few minutes and comes back with 2 boxes, both of which don't match up to the shoes and are priced at $19.95, our most reduced price for any of our shoes. Me, "Hey, I don't mean to make this process take so long, but these 2 boxes don't seem to match up with the shoes inside. Let me try and locate a box for these shoes so we can make this move a bit faster." At this point, I decide to take a closer look at the shoes and see if I can figure out what kind they are. After a year or so working with 10,000 different styles of shoes, you somehow quickly learn the random and obscure shoe names. Thankfully, it only took me a whopping 5 seconds to realize these are our 2 classic shoes, which are full price, which never go on sale, which are currently retailing for $80 a pair. Shocking. Me, "These 2 are actually full price shoes that do not go on sale. They currently cost $80 and the sale would not apply to them. Do you still want to purchase them?" Linda, "This is ridiculous. I found them in these 2 boxes and you need to honor it. Give me your manager. You have terrible customer service skills." Keep in mind, my manager is a bad butt who always sticks up for us. I was so stoked she asked me to call him over. Little did I know he was listening the whole time and prepped for the situation. Manager walks over with the corresponding full-price shoe boxes, inside of which contain the 2 cheaper shoes she obviously swapped boxes with when no one was looking. "I do apologize, but I have to stand behind my employee on this one as it looks as though the shoes were swapped. We're unable to honor an incorrect box price when it was obvious someone has intentionally switched boxes." She got so nervous, and I've never seen a woman run out faster of the store in my entire life. And our last story. Foreclosed while deployed. Paul's battle with his HOA. This is my friend Paul's story, and it still makes me shake my head. Paul's a career soldier, the kind of guy who will drop everything to help you fix a leaky faucet or move a couch. In 2008, he was deployed to Iraq. He had a beautiful home in Frisco, Texas, fully paid off, worth about $300,000, and he left it in good order before shipping out. One night, while I was sitting at home, my phone rang. "Man," Paul said, his voice flat, "you want to grab a beer? I just found out something insane." We met up at our usual bar, and he dropped the bomb. "My house is gone," he said. I blinked. "What do you mean, gone?" "Foreclosed," he said. "Sold. They auctioned it off for $3,500. "Wait, what? You own that place outright?" "Yeah," he said bitterly, "but apparently the HOA says I owed them $800 in unpaid dues. I never got the notices. They foreclosed while I was in Iraq." I was floored. The HOA had sold a fully paid-off house worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for the cost of a used motorcycle. Paul spent the next 2 years fighting tooth and nail to get his home back. He had to balance military duties, deployments, and phone calls to lawyers. The HOA refused to back down, claiming they followed proper procedure. But Paul had something they didn't: federal law. Specifically the Service Members Civil Relief Act, SCRA, which provides protections for active duty service members, including preventing foreclosures without a court order. By 2010, after a brutal legal battle, Paul finally got his day in court. The HOA's lawyer tried to argue that they had the right to foreclose because the dues were delinquent and notices were sent. Paul's attorney calmly stood, produced deployment orders, and cited the SCRA. This man was serving overseas when this HOA sold his home for $3,500, the attorney said, voice echoing through the courtroom. He was protecting this country, and they stole his house. The judge's face was like stone as he listened, then turned to the HOA side. Did you verify Mr. Miller's military status before foreclosing? The HOA lawyer mumbled something about standard process. The judge slammed his gavel, foreclosure void, title restored to Mr. Miller, and I strongly recommend Mr. Miller pursue damages. Paul walked out of that courthouse with the deed to his home back in his hand, but he didn't stop there. With his attorney's help, he filed a separate suit for damages for the loss of use of his home, emotional distress, and attorney's fees. By the time it was over, the HOA had to cut him a check big enough to cover every cent of legal expenses, plus tens of thousands in additional damages. And as the final cherry on top, the judge ordered the HOA to implement mandatory compliance training on the Service Members Civil Relief Act for every single board member going forward at their own expense. Today, Paul still lives in that house. The HOA board, however, completely replaced after a recall vote not long after the case hit the local news. Whenever we sit on his back porch with a beer, Paul grins and says, "That's the most expensive $800 those people ever tried to collect." Watching him win that fight was almost as satisfying as seeing that smug HOA board voted out. If I were sitting on that porch with him, I'd raise a beer too. That's the kind of victory you celebrate every single time you walk through your own front door. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.